Today I would like to go over multiplying monomials. Now I'm going to assume that you know what a monomial is. If you don't know what a monomial is, then I think you'll get the hang of it once we start doing some examples here. But I don't think I have enough time to explain what a monomial is in this video. Now to multiply monomials, we need to keep in mind three rules. One is the product rule. And remember, the product rule says that x to the a power times x to the b power. Now, for the product rule for us to be able to apply the product rule, we need to have the same basis. And that is going to equal x to the power of a plus b. And we also need the power rule. Remember, power rule says that if we have an exponential expression raised to a power, that means that that is the same as x to the a times b power. And we had the distributive rule. This is the distributive rule for exponents. So if we had a and b, a times b, and that whole thing is raised to a power, the n can be distributed to both a and b. So that is going to equal a to the n times b to the n. So keep these rules in mind as we work through multiplying monomials. I think the product rule will be used most often, and in some cases we'll need to use the power rule and the distributive rule. So let me give you an example of multiplying monomials. Say we have 2x, this is an example of a monomial, times 3xy. Okay, now don't try to complicate things. I think the easiest way to multiply monomials is to remember to multiply the numbers with the numbers and multiply the letters with the letters. Okay, simple as that. So let's multiply 2 and 3. 2 times 3, of course, equals 6. And now we have to do x times xy. Now, x times xy, we can't multiply x and y because they are different bases, but we can multiply x times x. And using the product rule here, both of these x's have a power of 1. If there's no exponent, it means they have a power of 1. And using the product rule, we can say that that is going to equal 6 times x to the 1 plus 1, which is 2y. And that is, in fact, our answer for this question. Okay, that wasn't too hard. Let's try another example, a little bit more difficult this time. Let's use some negative numbers. Negative 4x squared times, let's have x to the third power raised to the second power. Okay, how do we do this one? And the first step, actually, when you see two different terms here, these are going to be combined into one term, but try to simplify each of these individual terms first before you actually do the multiplication. So in this case, we can't really do anything to this term here. This is already simplified. But we can do something here. We can simplify this. What does that simplify to? If you look at our power rule, we can see that we can simplify that to x to the power of 3 times 2, which is going to be x to the 6th power. And now we have our first term, which was negative 4x squared, and we multiply that to our simplified second term. And when we multiply, remember, we multiply the numbers with the numbers. If there's no number here, it means that there's a 1 here. and we multiply the letters with the letters. So for the number part, -4 times 1 is going to equal -4. And x squared times x to the 6th, using the product rule again, is going to equal x to the 2 plus 6, or x to the 8th power. So that will be our answer. So the important part for this problem was to simplify the individual terms first before we multiply them together. Let's try one last example here. Let's use some more negative numbers. X squared y times 3x x cubed raised to the 2nd power. Okay, so again, can we simplify each of these individual terms first before we multiply them? We can't really do anything here. This is already simplified, but we can simplify this part. So let's leave this as it is, -2x squared y. And let's simplify our second part. If you simplify this, notice that we have two numbers that are being multiplied inside the parentheses. So we'll need to use the distributive rule to distribute the 2 to both 3 and the x cubed. So that part is going to be 3 squared times x cubed squared. And again, can you simplify any of these individual terms? We can simplify this part using the power rule. That is going to equal x to the 6th power. We are multiplying these two. And I guess we can also simplify this. 3 squared equals 9. Okay, and then we can leave the first part as it is. Now we can multiply, since all of the individual parts are simplified, we can multiply them together. So again, multiply the numbers first, the numbers together, and then we can multiply the letters. So -2 times 9 is -18. And x squared y times x to the 6th power, there's no y here, so y is just going to stay as it is. And x to the 6th times x squared, using the product rule, is going to equal x to the 2 plus 6, which is 8, and we'll have the y. So this will be our answer for our third question.